Hello, you must be a sucker for art videos, but for this one you should grab a beverage and cozy up because this one's pretty neat. Well, it's subjective. I personally think it's neat. I just refilled my coffee mug for this voiceover, and I have some chicken soup here for editing. It is snowing outside, and this is the art process video for my first finished illustration of 2025. Right here I am playing with the watercolor textures and some of the brushes, figure out what I'm doing here. But yeah, this illustration started as a sketch in a lined notebook. That's the drawing that you're seeing underneath what I'm doing. And I drew this in my notebook when I was traveling to Wisconsin a couple months ago. I work remotely for my day job, and my uncle had a complex heart surgery, and my other aunt was out there taking care of his house and visiting him in the hospital while he was in surgery and rehab. But she had a work gig back where she lives in Colorado, so my mom and I volunteered to come out and take over for 3 weeks. We received him back at home and basically made sure he followed recovery rules. Anyway, all that to say, I was away from my art desk for 3 weeks, and I primarily work digitally now on a big PC tablet, so the fact that I just had the lined notebook to make sketches in while I was away from home was weird. Wielding a pencil? Who does that? I'm sure people do that, but I don't. Eventually, once I was home again, the sketch was transferred and traced in Photoshop, which is what you're seeing here. But like the sketch had, I knew I wanted this like pensive femme to be considering flowers and poetry. So I got those in there. You don't see them yet, but there are going to be pansies on her skin, and are they tattoos? I don't know. Are they just pressed flowers on her? I don't know. I just like it, so they're there. So once I decided that I wanted pansies, I went through a few different flower options, but I landed on pansies, and I freehanded all of these, but yeah, well, I'm not freehanding them in Photoshop. I freehanded them on my sketch, obviously, but I'm tracing them over here now. But yeah, because of the pansies, I tend to look at symbolism with my floral work, I guess, my botanical usage. So I looked up the symbolism behind pansies. Obviously, you can use pansy as like an effeminate insult, but I was looking for something different than that, even though this illustration is clearly feminine. But I found another source saying that pansies represent our thoughts or free thought. And so I really leaned into that, and I was workshopping a poem that I wanted to incorporate into this piece. So, yeah, I was like focusing on thoughts and pondering and wondering and kind of feeling out what I wanted phrasing to be, and I had no idea what I wanted the poem placement to look like, so you'll see the rough of that, but yeah, thoughts, free thought, and because of that, I wanted the watercolor textures that you saw at the beginning to be like around her head, so that's where you're seeing the yellow and the purple kind of popping. So very cerebrally focused, even though the flowers are not around her head, they're on her body. But you know what? When you feel it out and it feels good, you leave it the way that you left it. And when I started working on the poem, it probably took me like 4 drafts before I got it where I wanted it. So you'll see me writing it in here shortly once I get like these echoes of the watercolor blobs drawn in. I'm not really sure what to call those, but yeah, I started writing the poem in the corner, and then I was like, wait a minute, well, how does it look on the border? So I started playing with it on the border of the piece, and that's where I landed it. But the poem reads, "Pondering 1,000 ways, find the flow of pattern. Ruminate on limitations, you'll reign queen. It is freedom. Oh, this is not betrayal. It is freedom for a mind. Pansy, pansy dear, take your thoughts and make them things." So I'll type it out in the description so that you can read it for yourself instead of turning your head around or your phone around. So yeah, the piece is called Pansy Thoughts, and it is already available as a 16 by 20 inch poster. And I think there are a handful of colors in here that you can kind of play with in terms of like home decor. If you have any of these accent colors in your house, this might make a pretty cool accent poster, or could be a seasonal poster too. Maybe you're into pansies in the spring, who knows. But yeah, I am doing a little more coloring in here. I color her in, even though you've been watching me just working on the lines. I go pretty basic on skin because I really like showing the watercolor textures through everything. I don't know why I'm such a whore for watercolor textures. I was painting with watercolors before I kind of went digital, but I still paint with watercolors, but I just don't sell those. But yeah, I love featuring these watercolor textures in my digital illustrations. And here we go. Here we're doing some hair coloring. And I like this part because I play with the opacity some, but I really let that like peachy orange watercolor texture stay featured, even though I'm coloring the hair in with a few different layering options. But yeah, we'll speed up. Oh yeah, there it is. And the flowers are colored all of a sudden. So this was one of my final drafts of the piece, and you're about to see the actual final version. There's a cool aqua line around it in the final. But yeah, if you like art videos that wish they had indie lo-fi music in the background but don't because of copyright, you've come to the right place. You can subscribe here on YouTube for more, or shop at studiododge.com, or you can support monthly on Patreon. But there's the final piece, and ciao for now.